And third, and this is the big one, there are massive federal programs that were instituted in the late 1970s that pay states trillions of dollars to tear families apart. So it's so innocuous when I tell you, be like, this is a great program. But like in Texas, we get 66 cents on the dollar put into the Texas Treasury for every dollar of child support that's paid. Right? So the state is now highly incentivized to issue the maximum amount of child support.
What? Yo, most people think the family court is about the kids. Hell no. It's about control and your cash in your wallet. Today, I have this video of this guy breaking down 5 ways the system is rigged against fathers. And if you stay to the end, I'll hit you with a bonus most married men never see coming. Let's get into it.
So a lot of people don't understand how family courts work and what the incentives are in family courts. People think of them as, an objective judge and this sort of thing. But the way that family courts are managed is they prevent you from presenting contrary evidence. That's why I've never been allowed to select a psychologist for my son.
This is true. A lot of times, if you end up in a child support case in these courts, most of the time you got to present evidence before you got to file this evidence to the clerk. A lot of times there's not a lot of talking that goes on. And these courts really have like a streamlined process where they getting you in there and getting you out. You may have some judges that will listen, but for the most part, this thing is about profit. It's not really about the best interest of the child, which he'll get into as we go through this. And a lot of times these courts, they have what's called like a mediator, which could be a psychiatrist, psychologist, or another lawyer that may have some type of other credential that he's allowed to do this. Like I said, these courts, man, they don't operate under any real rule. Like they operate all on their own and they just be making up shit.
The courts will never allow me to do that. The courts pick the psychologist who will then present the evidence to the court, right? Now, fortunately, I've been able to record them. I've been able to gather evidence and actually prove that they perjured themselves. So they've had to throw out all this evidence. But it's taken a lot of work and it's cost me a lot of money to do that, right? And most people can't do that. So family courts basically work off of fabricated evidence. That's number one. Number two, there's really no appeal from family courts. So family courts, unlike normal like civil courts or criminal courts, there's almost no appellate options out of a family court. So the judges operate with no oversight and just do whatever they want.
This here is true. I'll tell you the issue with me. When I was going through my divorce and the child support came up, my ex's lawyer basically was pushing it. I wasn't helping. This was during a separation. I wasn't helping. I wasn't contributing to daycare, and I had receipts, and the judge did not care. The judge basically still just hit me with the maximum. So a lot of these states have a model that they use to determine how much child support you pay. And here's the thing, because these courts don't have any oversight and they can do what they want to do. They may use the model, they may throw the model out, and they'll just tack on all kind of stuff. Like my child support ended up being like $500 more than it was supposed to be because of this reason. And even when I was like, hey, I could do this, I could do that, the court was like, nah, we don't care. We just gonna lump it all together and you're gonna pay these extra fees. There was like no type of balancing it out. Like, okay, the mother can be responsible for this. It's whatever they want to do. So y'all need to think about this before y'all get into this. All right, let's go.
And third, and this is the big one, there are massive federal programs that were instituted in the late 1970s that pay states trillions of dollars to tear families apart. So it's so innocuous when I tell you, be like, this is a great program. But like in Texas, we get 66 cents on the dollar put into the Texas Treasury for every dollar of child support that's paid. Right? So the state is now highly incentivized to issue the maximum amount of child support. That's why almost all divorces got 50-50 prior to the 1980s. And there was this skyrocketing of divorces where one parent loses custody. And that was to maximize Title IV-D reimbursements to the states.
All right. So if y'all having trouble understanding that, basically what he's saying is these states include child support enforcement into their budget of their profit overall, what the state makes every year from taxes, from businesses, basically the GDP. This is another hustle. How does it work? Well, it's the same way like with highway funding, how the federal government will send money to states to build roads, to build or Medicaid, things like that. the federal government now has a program which was done in 1996 called Title 4D. It pulls from the Social Security fund that you pay into with your taxes, and it reimburses states. So for every dollar that is collected from you as a man that goes to that mother or the other parent, the state gets that same dollar or that 66 cents of that dollar from the federal government that pushes into the state's budget. So they're making money off of putting you on child support. That's what he's trying to say. That's why the courts now incentivize divorce. They're happy to bring you in. They have made the laws easier to file for divorce because it's all profitable. Hey, don't y'all tap out this video early, because at the end I have a bonus for y'all that tell you the most dangerous trap. And I'm going to go further into what I'm discussing now. And like I said, this is especially for married men, but that's what, to simplify it, anytime the state puts you on child support, the federal government is sending money to them saying, hey, congratulations. Here you go. You did your job. Now you're making money.
In Texas, it's $500 million to the Texas budget.
If the state is profiting off of child support?
Correct. And in most states, the Judicial Retirement Fund is funded from this money. So the more...
Okay, he just said something very important. If y'all don't know what that is, basically these judges have a fund that's set up like a 401k. That's basically what it is, a judge's 401k. How is it funded? One of the ways it's funded is when they put you on child support. So if they give you the maximum amount of child support, they get more money into their retirement, into their quote 401k. That's their whole retirement plan. So who you think these judges gonna care about? They gonna care about you being a good father, or they care about them being able to go to Dubai and Cancun when they retire?
Or child support that's issued from the family courts, the larger the judicial retirement. It's a massive program. It's the size of the largest defense programs. So
did you just hear what he said? The child support program is bringing in as much money, or is getting as much money from the federal government as the defense, as the military. The military is like, if not the largest part of the budget for the federal government. More money goes into defense, or at least is at the top 1 or 2 that gets funded by federal government money and taxpayer money. So essentially, like I said, that's what this is. When these states put you on child support, the taxpayer is literally paying these states to put you on child support. Think about that shit.
Incentives are absolutely huge.
To get people to pay child support?
Correct.
And even married people, to get them to break up and then have to pay each other child support?
Absolutely, yeah. So, because you would think the best child support would just be 50-50 custody and let people raise their kids. The best child support is to raise your own kid. That's the best child support. But they don't do that. Most states actually have laws prohibiting the courts from doing that. Texas has a family code in which it's assumed to be in the child's best interest that one parent get 24% of the time. And the reason 24% was chosen precisely is it maximizes Title 4D.
Okay, so what he just said, if y'all didn't catch that, is basically a lot of these states now, what they're doing, they get the most money when they give the non-custodial parent, or the father most of the time, the minimum amount of parenting time, because there's a certain amount of fairness that has to go on, or it could probably raise an alarm and have other courts, maybe the Supreme Court or something, to step in and kind of look at it. So they have to have, it's supposed to be a fair thing, but it's not. What they're doing is they are giving a minimum amount of time, parenting time, which is 24%, which the federal government, Title 4D, is paying out the most money for that. So like I said, these courts are incentivized to basically take your child from you and get the profits on the other end. Child support, man, is messed up. That's the end of that video. But what I wanted to say at the end, and for the bonus that I want to tell y'all, is that if you are married to the mother of your child, you are likely to get hit harder with child support. Why? Because when you marry, you create a contract with the state. And a lot of people don't know this. In that contract with the state, there are certain clauses. And one of those clauses is, if you divorce, we automatically roll in child support. A lot of states are like that. I know Georgia is one of them. You can't, I don't even think the mother can say no child support. It's all up to the family court. Like I said, these courts don't have oversight, so they can do what they want to do. So if you are a married man, you are very likely, if you divorce, to be on child support. No matter what you do, there's no talking to the mother to say, hey, you know what, we can raise these kids on our own. More than likely, the courts are not going to push for that. The lawyers will push a lot of these mothers to do the minimum. What's that? Every other weekend, and two weeks on Christmas. When they can push that plan, these states get paid the most money. So that's why you got to have some real damning evidence against the mother to be able to get custody, first of all, or to get equal custody, because a lot of the states are not interested in giving you 50-50, which it should be. These kids should have equal time with both parents. And that's how it used to be before this became a profitable program. It used to be to where if a couple divorced, the father maintained the rights. The mother just raised the child while the father was out providing. That's how it started off. And then after feminism and no fault divorce and women claiming that they're oppressed, it went to the mother taking over. So she didn't have to be under the father when it came to the kids. Basically, the state says, you know what? Women are probably the less responsible parent when it comes to money. They're going to blow it. They're not going to do the right things with it. And when they blow it, they're going to keep coming back to the state to get more and more and more. What does that equal? That equals the state making more money, because a lot of these women who are getting this child support, they're not good with money. They don't budget. Like they don't think, you know what, let me stay under what I make with my job. And then the child support could be extra, or the child support can go into a fund for the kid when they go to college. No, they think, okay, I get this extra, whatever it is, 500, 1,000, 2,000, sometimes a month. You know what? That's my new living amount, because they try to live off of whatever they make plus the child support instead of budgeting correctly. The government knows this and they play this game. And then the father has no rights. He can't even pass down his legacy, his core value standards, which I highly emphasize all the time. None of that, because the government says, hey, we don't want you to raise your child. We want you to pay for your child. We don't want you to influence your child. We just want you to fund your child. We will influence, we will raise your child to keep carrying this out. And how does this happen? It happens because this decision has been given to the woman. You see, in divorces, 80% of divorces are initiated by women. This is showing that they have this choice. So to the men, how do you avoid this? I always say you're going to have to find a woman who has denounced feminism. What do I mean by that? She loves men. She loves her father. She respects men. When they're around, she respects them. She's not out bucket naked all the time. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times she's probably not even on social media like that. And if she is, she's well dressed, well mannered. Like I said, she looks up to the man she's with. She looks forward to being a mother. She doesn't see being a mother as oppressive or getting in the way of her, what she thinks is her real goal, which is her career or job. Those are the type of women you stay away from. You got to stay away from these super driven career women, because anything that gets in the way of that basically depresses them or make them feel less than, and all they want to do is get back to that. I experienced that where my ex, I think our child was at 6 months old, and she wanted to throw it right in daycare and get back to work. And for me, I'm like, hey, why don't you stay home and spend the first couple years just being with her and bonding? No, she wanted to get, daycare at this time, and this was 10 years ago, and daycare was still like $1,500 a month. So it's basically like she was going to work just to pay for daycare. It wasn't even, it was no profit for us. And I didn't understand it. Now I understand it. For her career was number one. She wanted to get that baby out, get it in daycare, get back to work. She wasn't worried about that. So you got to find a woman that's like that. She wants to be at home. And now you have a society of feminists that really just are against. They are against women who want to stay at home, who wants to support their man, who wants to keep the home good, had an environment like they take pride in being a home wife or home mother. They like going to the PTA meetings. They like volunteering at the school because the man is out grinding. We're losing a lot of that, and a lot of that is programming. And guess what? The government society lets it go on because at the end of the day, it is more profitable to have two people with two separate houses than to have two people who get along and can do things on their own and not run into the government. So that is my bonus I wanted to tell you. The way you stop this is these women who are slaves and who are operatives for this child support system, we got to stop impregnating them. We got to let them be on an island by themselves, let them suffer alone, and go find the women who are fit, feminine, cooperative, who want to be a part of your life, not destroy it. All right, Locker Room Uncut. Hey, y'all like this? Subscribe, drop comments below if you had an experience that you like to tell me about. Drop a comment on a video you would like me to talk about and explain. All right, y'all, we out.